I can't hit a ball hard. I love this game. It's all I got. That's why I'm going all out and give it everything I got. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. Answering more questions today for the Power Project, brought to you by HowMuchYouBench.net, The Slingshot, and the only strength magazine in the world, ThePowerMagazine.com. I'm hanging out here in front of the Slanger Mobile, which is right behind me. I also have a Slanger tub, and that's all thanks in part to all of your support, the Power Project Army, all the fans of the Slingshot, all the fans of Power Magazine. I really appreciate all the support. And, of course, all the fans of Super Training and SuperTraining.tv. You've all made it possible. I would love to give you a speech and tell you how hard it was, but it wasn't that hard, man. You just have to put a lot of effort in. Got to put a lot of time in, and you have to do some work, and you got to use your noggin. That's it. Pretty simple. Everyone always wants a simple fix on how to make money or how to be ripped or how to be jacked or how to be strong. But there is no simple fix. It's always just a combination of hard work. And there's the wifey driving by in the old minivan beeping at me. Probably going to yell at me. But anyway, we have a question to answer today here from Jay Laney. He wants to know in particular how I work out, how many times a week I work out. And he says that he feels overtrained. We don't like that word here at the Power Project, do we, Power Project Army soldiers? We do not like that word. In fact, I'm going to change everybody's vocabulary right now. A little magic trick. Sprinkle a little fairy dust on you. Instead of overtraining, let's just call it training over. Because here at the Power Project, we are educated enough that if we are going to inflict so much pain on ourselves that we can't work out very good for the next couple of days or even the next couple of weeks, it's going to be because we did it on purpose. So from now on, you're going to be training over your body's limits rather than calling it overtraining and attack CNS and all this other bullshit. Anyway, I do feel your pain. I mean, on occasion, the frequency's too high, the volume's too high, this is too high, that's too high. One of the key components here, though, is you're going to have to get yourself used to being uncomfortable. You're going to have to get yourself accustomed to these workouts. If you're all of a sudden training heavier out of nowhere, then it makes sense that your body is taxed. If you're all of a sudden doing bodybuilding workouts out of nowhere, then it makes sense that your body's going to be taxed. But if you've been doing similar workouts for long periods of time, you shouldn't be that run down from it. You should be able to train like an animal and train like a savage, but have enough of a systematic approach to where you're not getting beat down. And sometimes, for some of us, we need to follow a plan. Without a plan, a lot of times you plan to fail. But at the same time, if you're not taking any risks, then there's not going to be as big of a reward. So, for example, if you say, my hamstrings are tight, I don't want to deadlift. Well, you're not going to be a champion that way with that attitude. In fact, I was talking to the writer of Deep Water, John Anderson. Excuse the wind here. I have no control over that. I do have control over a lot of things in this world, but the wind is not one of them. I was talking to John Anderson, who writes for Power Magazine, former strongman turned pro wrestler. And John Anderson does training called deep water training. The principle behind deep water training is to swim out as far as you can with no thoughts on how the hell you're going to get back, or when or if you will be able to even swim back. And John Anderson told me about a workout the other day. He told me about a workout that he did. He mixed pull-ups with cleans, back and forth, for like 20 minutes with 275 pounds. And I think he might have even done weighted pull-ups. The guy weighs, right now, I think he's currently about 270 pounds. Huge guy, probably always under 8% body fat. He's just absolutely jacked. Look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. He's on the Facebooks, he's on the Twitters. You can find him on there, you can Google him. But the guy is an absolute monster. And when he told me about that workout, first thing I was thinking is wow, holy crap, that would really beat up your hands really bad. And also, it caused quite a bit of damage to your forearms. It'd just be a brutal workout. How the hell do you even recover from something like that? And so I actually mentioned that to him as he was going on, telling me he did the workout for like 20 minutes straight, back and forth. And I said, John, most people, most coaches, or anybody with a little bit of brain, a little bit of expertise in training would realize that the biceps and forearms and hands are heavily involved in a power clean and heavily involved in a pull-up. And he says, uh-huh. And I said, a lot of people, before they even do that workout, they'd have a lot of negative thoughts floating in their head. And they would say to themselves, well, I don't know, that's going to kill my grip, that's going to kill this, it's going to kill that. I'm supposed to deadlift tomorrow, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that. They're worried about what they did yesterday, and they're worried about what they're going to do tomorrow. And John said, I'm only worried about what I'm going to do today. And for today, I'm going to annihilate myself. And he said, it's funny that you made that observation because I nearly tore my bicep. So while that's a wild means of training, and the guy's absolutely nuts, and I don't necessarily advocate training that hard because he has had some major injuries, the point is that he trains like an athlete. He is training to try to be number one. He's training as if he's number two, but he's trying to train to be a champion. He's trying to train to the best of his ability to continue to shock his body over a period of time. He doesn't train like a coach. A lot of times, once you become a coach or you start to gain a lot of knowledge, and you're like, I did 2 hamstring movements. Now I can't do stiff leg deadlifts because I already did GHRs, and I already did good morning. So it doesn't make sense to do stiff leg deadlifts. Well, guess what? It doesn't have to make sense. That's what I'm here to tell you, is it doesn't have to make sense. You can train over. You could do a little overtraining. A little training over is good for the body, and it's going to prepare you in the future to be able to accept some of these new workouts that you're doing, and to be able to accept some of these new stimuluses that you're providing for your body. I say it all the time too. If I was to go out and play a pickup game of basketball out of nowhere, I'd be freaking shot. I mean, that shit would hurt. But my boy, Silent Mike, he plays basketball, he plays hoops all the time, and he's able to handle it. So you should be able to get yourself able to handle just about anything the same way John Anderson did. Now, specifically back to the original question, I know I went off the beaten path there, but very simple. I follow the Cube Method by Brandon Lilly. You could Google it, you can look it up. I think it's you can buy it on jtsstrength.com. But quite simply, the way that I'm doing it, I do a modified version because I don't like trying to figure out which workout I'm supposed to do for the day. So I simply made it even simpler than it already is. It's a simple plan to follow. It's not a difficult plan to follow. But the people's coach doesn't have all his some of his screws are loose. So what I have done is I do 1 week for speed on all 3 big lifts. So I'll do a squat for speed, a bench for speed, a deadlift for speed. The following week is all reps for the squat, bench, and deadlift. And the following week after that is all max work. I have a 4th day. I train 3 days per week. Bench, squat, deadlift. I have a 4th day where I do all assistance exercises. I do not bench twice a week. I occasionally will do some form of deadlifting twice a week. I will occasionally do some form of squatting twice a week. But it's usually like very light. It's usually higher reps. And when I say deadlifting, it might be something like a heavy sumo deadlift in my suit in full gear. Remember, I'm a geared power lifter. And on the other day, it might just be stiff leg deadlifts raw, or sumo stiff leg deadlifts raw, or something to that effect. So that's basically how I work out. On the day where I do all the assistance stuff, it's strictly staying light, wearing no gear, no nothing at all, no wrist wraps or anything like that, because I don't want to get to the point where I'm starting to go too heavy. For a long time, I was bench pressing twice a week, and that was just too demanding on my pec. I've had many pec injuries over the years. That's why I invented the slingshot. And I just realized, you know what, this is stupid. I can't handle it. I don't know why I keep doing it. I was always strong by doing it, but I discontinued doing that. I also followed the Westside Barbell program for years and years. Still a huge fan of that. That's a great way to get stronger. Brandon Lilly's Cube Method is is a slightly different version of some of the stuff going on at Westside, but either program can be extremely beneficial. You got Jim Wendler's 5-3-1 program out there. He actually talks often about training 3 days a week. Matt Vincent, who's a Highland Games competitor, talks well, not just a competitor, he's a world champion. He talks a lot about training 3 days per week. So you can do it in 3 days per week if that's something you're looking into because you feel like you're worn out and you're taxed. But also overtraining has a lot to do with sleep patterns. Make sure you're getting your sleep. Make sure you're eating your protein, a minimum of 1 gram per pound of body weight. More preferably would be 1.25 or 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Make sure you're eating a significant amount of healthy fats as well. And also make sure you're taking post-workout carbohydrates. So a lot of times when people say they're overtrained, I think they're worn out more from life than they are from training. It's very difficult to really, truly train yourself into the ground unless you're training like 6 or 7 days a week. I've felt that shit before, and that doesn't feel so good. You can't go wrong when you're trying to be strong. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv.